All right, keeping my channel active with the Ask Me Anything AMA, whatever it's called. So I already got a number of questions here, so let's just do these for now and I'll do more later. Bob Joe asks, are you actually disband already's father? No, I'm not. Andreas Igilius, I can't say your name. I'll ask the question everyone here is afraid to ask. How big is that PP? I don't have a big penis. If I had a big penis, I'd jack off on camera for money. Trust me, I would. No shame in that. Actually, both my brothers, from what I heard, actually, apparently, both my brothers have massive two-hand cocks. Unfortunately, I was not blessed with that. I wish, right? Mega Dude, I would like to know your story. How I got into fighting games and all that kind of stuff. I've actually already made videos about that. That'd be really long just for a question, unless you guys want me to do another vlog about that. What do I look for when labbing characters? I don't know. Generally, I said this before. Generally, I just kind of like Dragon Punch, Fireball characters, Ryu, Ken kind of thing. But only reason I did so many characters in Dragon Ball FighterZ is because I just wanted to prove that I was better than everyone else again, and that everyone else was wrong and I was right again. That's the only reason I did so many characters in Dragon Ball FighterZ, really. Just to prove I could do it, really. But generally, I kind of like simple characters, actually. I would also like to see what you can do in other fighting games like Cross. I don't like the Blaze Blue Cross Battle. Fuck my shit. Don't like that game. And Battle for the Grid. I don't know what that is. Oh, the Andreas Igilius guy asked again, why do you double snap at the beginning of your videos and why are they so damn crisp? Actually, I just do that because you need a gimmick. Everyone needs a gimmick. And I actually didn't know how to snap my fingers until I was like 20 years old. And then I realized I was using the wrong fingers. I was using my pointer finger. And then someone's like, you just use your middle finger. And I was like, oh, huh. Well, I'm an idiot. So now I just kind of do it because I was like, damn, I missed out on 20 years of doing it. So now I got to make up for lost time. Richard Johnson asked, what got you into fighting games? Just a kid, and there was Street Fighter 2, I suppose, right? I was a nerd. When did you understand the concept of labbing? Depends on what the context you mean by that exactly. I guess, I don't really play a lot of video games. I'm a nerd, but I don't play a lot of video games. And, even when I was winning those tournaments, God, I didn't really play a lot. You hear people say they play video games 8 hours a day or some bullshit. I just, a lot of times I just play in my head. So if that counts as labbing, because I was like, you know what? I only have so much time to play video games, or I only want to play so much video games, whatever it might be. So I would just, I guess, lab in my head, and I would think about situations in my head so that I wouldn't be so bored while playing, I guess. I'd have like an idea of what I want to lab then, I guess. Are there any game series you would like to see make a comeback? Most series are still kind of in. Unless you want to make a joke, like I'd like to see a real Street Fighter game again. I'd like to say King of Fighters become good again, that kind of thing. But besides that kind of joking, almost patronizing answer, I guess Karna's Revenge, might be neat. It's this guy asked, for you, what is fun at this moment? I don't know. I'm not sure. Ninja Crew asks, what are your thoughts on the fan game Hyper Dragon Ball Z? I never played it. Don't know. I know of it, but I never played it. DS asks, how are you so innovative with Fighter Z combos? Just played a lot of games before, so you can come at games from different perspectives and see stuff from different angles, which helps you give yourself a new perspective on the game you're playing, basically. Dennis Demu, will you maybe do a stream in the future? I actually do stream randomly. It's Saishu Kessen. That's my thing. Kevin asks, I see that you played anime games and Capcom games. Have you ever played NRS games dating back to the original? Of course, I think, I grew up back then, so everyone's probably played Mortal Kombat at least once or twice, but no, in general, I don't play it. Although, actually, I'm going to have to look up his name just to make sure I'm doing it right. I believe his name is Aaron, right? Let me go look this up on my, because he's actually Facebook friends with me that I recall. Let me look this up. I actually, right? Aaron D, is it Davis? Yeah, Aaron Davis. Okay, so I guess this guy, he actually works at, NetherRealm Studios now, as Facebook even says. That guy actually, I was at a tournament many, many years ago. I didn't enter because it was already long after I had stopped playing games, and he came up to me, and I don't remember if he said Final Showdown or if he said Clayton Chapman. He's like, dude, are you Final Showdown or Clayton Chapman? Whatever he said. He's like, dude, I watched your Johnny Cage combo videos, and that's how. And I guess he'd been winning tournaments or something, or at least he apparently was doing quite well for himself in Mortal Kombat. And I guess looking at his Facebook, I recently saw that he actually works for NetherRealm Studios, and he actually came up to me, and again, I don't remember if he said Clayton Chapman or Final Showdown. He's like, yeah, dude, I watched your Johnny Cage videos back then, and that's the combos I do now. So that was kind of weird, but generally though, no, I don't play the games, but I think Johnny Cage is cool, I guess, before he became such a total joke character, I guess. The Mightiest Legend asks, where are you from? Well, I mean, I live in America, I guess, but if you want the more sort of interesting answer, I am part German, part Finnish, and French Canadian, I guess. I'm a mutt, I guess, probably like most people, I suppose. Wicked Barkley? Wicked Barkley? Is it supposed to be Wicked Barkley? Wicked? I think it's supposed to be Wicked Barkley 95. I don't know. Do you think fighting games could be a type of art form, at least with how people mold fighting games and find their own ways of playing them? Is that an art form itself and not the game? Oh, I suppose. I mean, depending on your perspective, sure, why not, right? I mean, I don't see why not. Cameron Inila 23, ramble more about Guilty Gear. Again, what else do you want to hear me ramble about? Christian Irza Escolutos, I don't know. What do you think about Melty Blood Actress current code? I don't play the Melty Blood games. No opinion on them. They're not interesting to me. Man, this Andre Aliglius guy, he's being very selfish with his questions here. Do you work? If so, what is or what you like to do, and what else do you do with your time when you're not making videos or working out? I mean, I have a job as a part-time model, but I'm still in and out of the hospital a lot. I'm still sick. I've been sick most of my life since a kid now. So, Mark Cruz, what's the process for making your godlike video titles? Cyber Pussy is a favorite of my friends. I just make silly names because I think it's funny to make silly names, because I don't take games as seriously as other people, which probably is why so many people get mad at me that I've done more than them, considering I care less than them. But I just do it to be funny, and it's kind of almost as a joke, because so many people always put, oh, the best combo, the most optimal combo, the most max damage, and it's like, dude, like, you guys are doing most of the shit people put out as absolute fucking trash, right? It's like you name all your stuff is only optimal or max damage because you did it, when it's not even close. So it's kind of like, if I just put max damage and optimal for all my stuff, it's like, dude, I already know I'm doing more than everyone else, right? I mean, so it's kind of like I got to kind of switch it up, right? Because I can't just keep posting max optimal, because my competition is myself, right? Does that make sense? So I don't know. It's kind of like kind of shows just, it's a video game. Try not to take it too seriously if people laugh about it. And I mean, again, what do you want me to do? Name everything max optimal like everyone else? It's just, it's ridiculous, the things people do. Oh, that's what we said. JR617. What is the hardest combo you've ever done? Doesn't matter which game. Not sure. I'm actually not sure what is the hardest combo I've ever done. I would say that some combos that probably look simple are probably a lot harder than they look. And a lot of combos that people probably thought were very hard are probably quite a bit easier than they look. It's really depends, right? I've done a lot of combos. Look at that Kai combo that people said was humanly impossible, that I use as like a B&B, right? You know what I mean? And so it just depends, right? Some combos are harder than they look. Some combos are easier than they look. It just really depends. I'm not sure. Ragu Suelto. Do you have any pro players that you like to watch, not necessarily current? Um, I'm not sure if there's like a favorite per se. I'm not sure. I feel like, back in the day, probably if you watch Street Fighter 2, you watch guys like Mike Watson, Daigo, whoever it might be, right? Sebastian Salfia, what's your opinion on 2D pixel and 3D poly fighting games? I'm not sure what you mean. Like, are we comparing a 2D pixel and a 3D fighting game? I'm not sure. I need more information. Corpse God, can you be a good player if you just focus on the fundamental movements with minimal basic combos? Well, it depends. What do you mean by good player? It depends. What level do you consider good? You know what I mean? So I guess it depends on how anal you're being, right? What is good to you? What is the standard for that? I don't think if you do minimal basic combos, you can't say that you're optimal. You could win Evo. You could win Evo. Say you win Evo with the most minimal basic combo. You won Evo. I mean, no one can take that away from you. But you can't like bullshit and say that you are play the game optimally either, right? You can still progress the game. So Pepsi asks, do you suck pee-pee? No, I don't suck pee-pee. But I've said before, I actually am friends with one of the most famous transgender people on the internet. It wouldn't surprise me if people have seen her posted and all this kind of shit. And let me tell you, when you see that face, I don't know if it's gay, but I have thought about her sucking me off. She's got a fucking amazing face, let me tell you. But yeah, we talk sometimes. Insomnia X asks, if you win on your first fighting game tournament, then what fighting game tournament event that you entered from a past? Is that one of those, have you ever been so far to do what? Have you ever had a dream and the dream you did the dream? I don't know what that means. I'm not sure if that's a translation error, but you're going to have to write that one again, dude. Maybe Google, I don't know what was going on there. I'm not sure what you're saying, dude. Sorry. Nohan Galan writes, what is your most favorite video game? It's a hard question, so if you don't have one, that's okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what is my favorite video game ever. I don't know. Darth Tyler, what are some fighting games that you like but haven't talked about on the channel? I'm not sure if there's ever been a fighting game that I like that I've never talked about on my channel. I'm not sure if one exists like that. I'm not sure. Let's go to some Twitter stuff. I always read this as pomegranate. I don't know what it's supposed to be. I always read like pomegranate. I don't know, Mr. Pomegranate. I don't know. If there were to be a tournament for whatever game you want, what game would be for you? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, but I do think that at Evo and all those kind of things, I think there should always be a Street Fighter 2 game at Evo. I don't think there should ever not be a Street Fighter 2 game at Evo. I think there should always be a Street Fighter 2 game, some version at Evo. Bullseye asks, what characters have the best playstyle in Fighter Z? Like I said, I've made many videos about Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I think Dragon Ball Fighter Z, even Vegito could be a potentially amazing character in the game playstyle wise, but the game's fundamentals are so fucked up and the game doesn't put enough emphasis on the new things, unfortunately. This is a long one. RK010, right? I remember seeing old doodles on your Instagram. I thought it was really cool. Do you still do art recently? And what are your inspirations for art stuff? I like seeing people's art. It tells me a lot about the person. Hope you have a good day and hope you get to feel better, dude. Yeah, I guess I could put a link to some of my Instagram. I know I make the Pikachu pictures as a joke, but I do. Not even my Instagram doesn't have real art, but it has at least a little more serious art. But no, I still like art, but again, you got to remember that I can't really use my hands for very long. My hands are fucked up. Also, it sounds stupid. I know I ramble a lot in videos, but I have a hard time concentrating ever since, all the health stuff, dying stuff, and I had that bad collapse. So I actually get confused really easily and have trouble concentrating. So my hands are messed up. I only have so much energy in the day, blah, 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 blah. So it's actually, I do like art, but it's actually can be hard to draw, not just because of even my hands, but I get confused easily, right? If I actually start to concentrate. But no, I still like art. People can go look at some of my doodles. I just will doodle for a few minutes when I'm bored. But I actually I gotta jack myself off. I gotta jack myself off at least once every vlog, right? I have made my own story and all my own characters. And let me tell you, it's actually really, I'm actually pretty proud of what I've done. And I actually wanted to have my own anime or manga when I was younger. But no, I actually have my own story, actually. And I actually would like to finish it. I would consider it up for a very weird analogy. I don't watch wrestling anymore, but I used to watch wrestling. But I would almost consider it a. The story kind of has a lot of spots, but there's not a lot of good flow to it, right? Like, it is very unique, and it's fucking amazing. And I actually don't make bullshit claims. Anything I ever say, I think I've ever backed up. I actually do have a really cool story that I've written, and if I could ever make the whole story flow, it's got like too many breaks in it, and I've never been able to finish it. It just, but I have I have a pretty cool story I wrote before, actually, but it's got a little bit too much breaks for me to ever actually make it official, if that makes sense. Soups Dupes asks thoughts on 3D games. Depends. Like, I like Soul Calibur, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Josh the Myth asked, oh, that's a different one. Alicon4694 asks favorite fighting game ever. I'm not sure. Juan the Key asks, would you like to make a fighting game? If so, what would be the mechanics or the story of it? Yeah, I would like to make a fighting game, but that's a very long thing. Could I make a good fighting game? I don't know if I could make a good fighting game. I think I could. I'm confident enough to say that that I could, improve current fighting games. But could I make a fighting game from scratch that would be amazing? I don't know about that, and I don't know if anyone can do that in today's society nowadays, right? But I think I could improve on other games. I would like to try, but I don't know if I could actually make an amazing new game from scratch completely. Then these were some old ones. Chase William asked, really enjoy this style of video from you. I have a question for a potential video topic. What fighting games would you recommend that players play in order to legitimately hone their execution skills and fighting game fundamental understanding? Even if there is no online multiplayer, could you recommend a game and maybe some specific combos in that game to practice that would make a player fundamentally better execution? Man, there's just so many games, you know what I mean? I think, I've said this before, I think it's actually a good idea to play a variety of games so you can have a different perspective on what is possible in the game. You want to find a game, of course, that you enjoy, right? But as long as you've fiddled in many games and you have a grasp of how the game works, that's very important, because then you can eventually come into the game that you like then with a new understanding and a potential new perspective of that game, right? So again, I always say as well, I mean, I guess maybe if you don't like any of the original Street Fighter 2s, you're in for a world of hurt, I think, in terms of fighting games in general. But yeah, I always recommend getting a grasp for a lot of games. What is this? I got a letter from this Pikachu. It says, "You are the most best and handsome daddy in the whole." He can't spell very well. He's a child. "In the whole world. And when you were born, the blood of Jesus was on you, and he blessed us with the C-section combo. I love you, wit. Oh, my little Pikachu, hard." I think he meant heart. "P.S. You have a small penis, snugga." If you don't know what a snugga is a dude who likes to snuggle, but he's a little bit more hardcore. He's hardcore, but deep down he likes to snuggle. That's what a snugga is. "Just kidding, love you, daddy." Well, that was very sweet of Pikachu right there. Was that the last one? That was the last one. And before I end this, a couple people did ask, and the other one, someone asked me about Street Fighter 3. Don't really care about Street Fighter 3. The game is fine, but it's not my jam. I can tell you again, when I was a kid, no one liked Street Fighter 3. I was going to say no one, but no one, quotation marks, liked Street Fighter 3 when I was a kid. Street Fighter 3 became popular after it already died, if that makes sense. Street Fighter 3 is kind of a weird kind of cult game, actually, in the fighting game community, in a sense, actually. But I don't think it's a terrible game, but it's kind of like a novelty game to me, in a sense, right? I mean, it's fine, but it's not really my thing. You know what I mean? It's not like terrible. I'll watch it if I'm bored sometimes, but don't really. don't really care about it per se. And then someone was asking about, someone had said too, they had said, what did they say? They said something like, what was that? They said something, they're talking about how some people don't like Super Turbo because it added supers. And yeah, some people don't like Super Turbo because it added super, and they don't even think that Super Turbo is a real Street Fighter when we're talking about the narrative of games. But for those narrative videos, I don't think there is a narrative for Street Fighter 2 to hyper fighting per se. And what I mean by that is the narrative of Street Fighter 2 to hyper fighting is not what's going on. But again, if we want to be anal, we could say it is. Of course there's a narrative, right? But the narrative of Street Fighter 2 to hyper fighting is really just that Street Fighter 2 is not the most important fighting game, just not just most the important fighting game ever. Street Fighter 2 is one of the most important video games of all time. That is the narrative of the first Street Fighter 2 series, right? Super Turbo, there starts to become a narrative because there's fighting games were progressing and there's a lot of different competitions. So then, it had to it had to progress. It had to catch your eye with something else, right? There had to be other dynamics and narratives at play because there's other competition, right? And Street Fighter was evolving as a series. But for Street Fighter 2 to Street Fighter to hyper fighting, the narrative of that is it's one of the most important video games of all time. Not just the most important fighting game of all time. It's one of the most important fighting games of all time. That is the narrative of Street Fighter 2. We don't even need to think about it more deeply than that, really. And we're talking about fighting games as a whole, right? So I think that's it. If more questions come, I'll do another one of these. But yeah.